none of my family played an instrument. So it was more the singing, I think, really. And I think, I can't remember when, but my mum she joined the choral society, the Annick Choral Society, and she was in that for many years as a soprano, darling, don't you know. So she'd come home with the music and I'd look at the music, and actually I do remember now, suddenly out of nowhere, I think I wanted to join a choir, but I think I couldn't join that choir at the time, or I didn't want to or something, because I can't remember if this was pre-going to school in Annick or post. Well, it certainly wasn't post, but I can't remember if it was pre or during. So I went and asked if I could join the choir in Whittingham, and they said yes. So I joined the choir, and interestingly, I joined the basses because I couldn't hear the difference in octaves, and they didn't tell me. So I don't know whether they were all just laughing at me, or if they just didn't mind and were just like, oh, she's a wee bairn, we'll just let her play herself, you know, or what. But I joined the basses, but I only went for a few because I just didn't feel I liked it. So I have to be honest, I think part of it was...
You were singing a bass part.
Yeah.
When you went to bass.
Yeah, essentially. But nobody told me.
Could they have been conscious about a young voice and not wanting to push them too high?
They could have been, but surely then you'd put them in with the altos.
You'd have thought. You were at middle school in Willow?
I was. I think I might have done music there, but I don't really remember.
It's quite a musical middle school.
Yes, we did. The Red Herring book. Oh my gosh. It was Mrs. Frisbee, bless her cotton socks, Mrs. Frisbee. And, suddenly it's all coming back to me now, yeah. Mrs. Frisbee was the music teacher, and she had these books, or the school had these books called The Red Herring, I think it was. And it was loads of English folk songs, but quite often it was ye olde Norfolk English folk songs, not Northumbrian folk songs. So I came from that, and that could have been Mrs. Frisbee, might not have been from the north, I can't honestly remember. But I came away from that with lots of like, I'm the urban spaceman baby, and what was the other one? I got a brand new combine harvester, and I'll give you the key. One of the ladies whose name escapes me, one of the teachers, organised a guitar club. And I had a guitar at that point. I'd bought off a friend for 20 quid, an old acoustic one that I bought for 20 quid off a mate. And I took it along and I got guitar lessons. And that was brilliant, because we just learned basic chords and basic chord shapes, and we sung songs with it. And I don't really remember a great amount about that as a club, but what I do attribute to that is the ability, having those chord shapes so ingrained in me that you're not, you know, that idea of being able to see C chord, or somebody's written C chord or whatever, and your fingers are making the shapes. I mean, that's it, your fingers are making the shapes before you're doing anything else, you know, that I can attribute to that it's so deeply ingrained in me as a muscle memory that, you know, there's something wrong when I forget it, you know, there's something literally physically wrong with me. And I knew when I got to Annick, one of the things I wanted to do was join the choir, and that's the one thing I can say, that in that year of intake I will have been one of the first, because I almost beelined for the music studio to go in and say, I want to be in the choir. It is that thing of finding your tribe, I think, isn't it? And I think I found my tribe with the music people. They were like me. A lot of them were a lot more, here we go, a lot of them I perceived as being a lot more musical than me. And it's taken me a long time to be able to say that, even I think 10 years ago.
And actually that choir was... We did just enjoy singing together, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I did my interview thing, we talked about going to Paris and how many other coach loads of children did they have coming through passport control singing in 4-part harmony.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just enjoyed singing together, didn't we? It was very much a community of like-minded people.
I think for me, a lot of my anxiety with music is that I'm not good enough, that because I don't have the formal education that other musicians have, that makes me not a real musician. So the practice comes because I feel I have to prove that I am a good musician.
I think a lot of it was to do with our music teacher, in that as much as she got us enthusiastic and involved in stuff, I didn't know till I went to do my teacher training what order the music eras went in.
Yeah.
You know, so from your Renaissance to your Baroque to your Classical to your Romantic, I didn't know that they went in that order. I didn't know what am I listening for in Baroque music? Right, well, I'm listening for an organ, or I'm listening for terrace dynamics, or something like that. Why am I listening for that? Well, because in Baroque we didn't have pianos, we had harpsichords, and they don't play loud or quiet, so we're not used to, do you know what I mean?
Dynamics.
If I'd understood why
Yeah.
we have these instruments, so this is the sort of music.
I didn't get very much theory at all from it. But my God, the experience she gave us as a choir, I talking about that, I get goosebumps, literally. The experience she gave us and the opportunities she gave us as a choir, I can feel it flushing through here now. You know, going to Paris, singing at Notre Dame, it's
On Easter
huge.
Sunday.
Easter Mass, Easter Sunday in Notre Dame, yes, that one, you know, and that is huge. At 46, those are the things that are still musical highlights. I'm very glad to say I've got more now, different ones through my life. So I started learning the euphonium a little bit and getting lessons. I think they were like 10-minute lessons, one-on-one, but I think they were only like 10 minutes. And I remember doing that in my first term. And I did play drums for a very short amount of time as well. I don't think I played in any concerts for either of those instruments though.
Because you were still playing guitar through high school.
I was, yes.
But you were on electric now, weren't you? Because you were a rocker. Yeah.
I am still a rock chick, it has to be said. I was in a few bands then. I don't remember what bands though.
I remember we did one together. There was
Yes,
you
and Mark.
and Mark
Tom.
and Tom. It wasn't your type of music at all.
Who won? Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Sorry.
Yeah, that.
Oh my goodness.
And then you went to university.
I went to South Africa.
You went to South Africa first.
I did, yeah. And so there, the music teacher was actually English. And I got involved with that and in with the dance, and I did a lot of swimming and dancing anyway. And I got involved with the choir there, and she asked if I would help her with the choir. So she did all the accompaniment of it, and I would sort of lead, so that the two of us would kind of guide what we were wanting from the children. We did Sister Act, some of the sort of music from Sister Act, and we took them to a competition over, I think it was in Durban, or was it further away than Durban? I can't remember now. But we took them to a competition and they won third against all of these choirs that had very privileged backgrounds, who were all in uniform. And for us, we were just like, guys, wear clean, reasonably good jeans, you know, not ripped jeans or anything, clean jeans and a white top. And that's all we asked of them. Against all of these choirs with their full drapery and their full music inlined calfskin shoulders.
So did you do any good African songs as well as the likes of Sister Act?
Are you fishing?
I wouldn't dream of it, but no, I mean, you must have, because African singing is
She's got a smile on her face, this is what she wanted. Inqira lenhlela ungqongqothwane inqira lenhlela ubaba ungqongqothwane inqira lenhlela ungqongqothwane. I'm not going to do the rest of it because it's already on video somewhere.
fabulous.
sitting up in the top. But, you know, so I was kind of leading that choir a lot alongside Kay while I was in South Africa, and just being immersed in music generally, I think, and going clubbing a lot.
Because it would be rude not to.
Precisely.
Yeah. So you've been in the south, you've been in the north, you've been in South Africa, now you go to Wales, and you spend 3 years in total in Wales and a year in Sweden.
2 years in Wales, 1 year in Sweden, and another year in Wales to finish it. It was my undergrad,
Yeah. So what did Sweden and Wales bring to your music development?
Gosh. Well, Wales is obviously home of the male voice choir, which is a bit of a bugger when you're a female.
But you were singing bass once before.
Precisely. No, but I mean, they're just super about their music anyway. And I don't... Actually, it was the Swedish part of it that got me into the music. Because one of the Swedish festivals of light, the sort of Christmas time, is the Lucia festival, which is the 13th, 14th of December. And for that, there was a lot of carols sung, Swedish carols sung. I think, well, I'd always wanted to be a singer, hadn't I? I'd always wanted to be a singer from a young age. I'd wanted to be in a band like Metallica, and it took a long time for me to realise that my voice just wasn't Metallica-based. But I think it was something I always wanted to do, and then I realised the way to do these things, nobody's going to hand it to you, you have to do it yourself. So I think at that point we're looking at about mid-2000s now, 2006, and I'd had lessons and I'd been singing down there for several years and writing down there. I don't remember how long I had lessons for, a couple of years I think, and she taught me a lot of the groundwork. And then I came up here, moved back up here in about 2003? 2006. And that's when I bought my house, and I sat myself down and said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a muso. And what I like to think is, though, because of my background in linguistics, I bring a lot of the idea of how the fact that we're creating sounds all the time, and we're creating those sounds into intelligible sound, whether that's speaking or singing. So actually a lot of what I'm teaching is how to make sure that the sounds we're creating can be understood, as much as making sure that they're safe. But this is the other part, you know, I don't have formal teaching skills. It isn't about grades. It isn't about being able to read music. That doesn't in and of itself make a musician. Being able to feel music, to feel where you fit in with it is important. And don't measure yourself against people who are getting a formal education, and recognize what skills you are gaining without that formal education that they aren't gaining, and that it balances out. Well, there you go, a bit of a story of my life. Were there any interesting points? Were you all shocked to know that I'm not a formally educated musician? Does that make you run away screaming? Do you think that I'm not necessarily a proper musician because of it? Hopefully through our discussion I've shown you, and Joanne has shown you, as that formal musician equivalent, hopefully we've shown you that it's not as important if you have that musicianship and that understanding of music, because that kind of stuff can come and you can learn it. And which of it do you need to learn? I mean, have I ever needed to know my Baroque from my Renaissance? Not really. And when I did, that's what Google is for. So you guys take care, and as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, if there's any things you want to comment on, feel free, just talk to us, put it in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.